May aircon dito.
Good day, Kabibal, and welcome to our Student Organization, Interest Clubs, and Student Support Program webinar series. For the discussion this afternoon, our topic will be Teaching Music in the New Now. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.bibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions in the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by a speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Bibal webinars. Experience learning, Kabibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker. Mr. R.J.N. Viray initially studied music education from the Philippine Normal University and DCPMA Choral Conducting from the University of the Philippines College of Music before earning his Bachelor of Secondary Education from the University of Cordilleras in Baguio City. He subsequently took and passed the licensure examination for teachers in 2017. He recently graduated with a master's in music education with emphasis on choral conducting at the Philippine Women's University Graduate School of Music. He previously worked as an assistant conductor of the Ateneo de Manila College Glee Club and a music director and Glee Club conductor of the Ateneo de Davao University, where he also taught arts appreciation and music education. He also taught at the University of Immaculate Conception in Davao City and at Easter College in Baguio City. He has represented the Philippines in international organizations and projects such as the World Youth Choir and the Time Ensemble, the International Federation of Choral Music, the World Symposium of Choral Music, and the Southeast Asian Music Education Exchange. He has served as regional representative for the zone of the National Commission for Culture and Arts Committee on Music from 2017 to 2020 and was a regular resource speaker for its outreach and capacity building programs such as Speakers Bureau and Amping Sini. He is also a regular resource speaker for National Music Competition for Young Artists, and currently he teaches at the Philippine High School for Arts, where he serves as a program coordinator for junior high school music and as coordinator for the Arts Education Unit. He handled classes such as chamber music, chorus class, Philippine music, and he is the principal author of the PHSA music curriculum. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. RJ and Virai.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Sana safe kayong lahat ngayon. Clear ba yung audio? Thumbs up naman. Clear.
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the title of today's session is Teaching Music in the New Normal. There we go. Initially, hindi ako comfortable dun sa mismong title. So before we proceed with the actual presentation, let me simply deconstruct yung title for you. Kung ako yung susunod, if based dun sa principles ko, I would put it this way. So teaching, question mark, music, question mark, and in the new normal, question mark. So may mga ganong questions. And these are the three frontline questions, basic questions, as to why ganon yung view ko. First of all, dun sa concept of teaching, when dealing with music, do we really teach as music educators? Rhetorical question siya, so you don't have to answer. The second one, dun sa concept naman ng music, as educators, can we really teach music? Yeah, another rhetorical question. And then lastly, on the idea of having a new normal, quote unquote, suggests change. Now, what's there to change? Diba? So mamaya may extensive discussion, especially dun sa third question. So before I proceed, to justify why I have such a view on music education, bakit ganon? Ito kasi, no? So from where I come from, I have students who are, masabi nating who's who. Very few selected young musician scholars. These are students na 7 years old, 8 years old, nagpo-piano lessons na sila or earlier. So, believe it or not, from grade 7 to 12, ang hinahandle ko, pero I only have 34 students all in all. From grade 7 to 12, ganun lang sila kakonte. So, ganun din sila kapili. And in our classes, we rehearse individually and collectively. So, dun sa 34 na students na yun, meron silang individual rooms, practice rooms. And then we gather minsan for chorus class, for chamber music. Pero basically, dun sa kanya-kanya nilang rooms, dun sila nagpa-practice. First of all, boarding school kami. So, nakatira sila dun sa school nung may face-to-face pa. Ngayon lang. Pero yun, so we rehearse. Most of our time are spent for rehearsals. So part ng kanilang curriculum and their student life, we put up concerts and recitals. So like every month, merong recitals yung mga bata individually and as a group. Tapos nagko-concerts outside Paco Park, concert at the park, even conservatories and colleges of music. So basically, we make music. Music making yung ginagawa. And in that context, I don't teach music. I facilitate the music making. So yun yung idea. And for me to have those kind of students, may prerequisites, may mga alam na sila prior to entering the school. So syempre una, musicianship, basically theory and its application to their specific instruments. Kung singer sila, yun. Yung theory na-apply mo as a singer. Kung violinist ka, ganun din. Second is repertoire or literature. Literature, hindi ibig sabihin poetry, fiction, creative non-fiction, not that kind of literature, but body of works. So, Filipino choral literature, works by Filipino composers. Classical chamber music literature, chamber music repertoire na galing sa 1700s, a romantic piano literature, piano pieces from 1800s. So yun yung literature. Meron na sila nun, even before coming into our school. And then lastly, technique. One good subject that we have is yung applied music. So kung clarinet player ka, may sarili kang teacher for clarinet. Yun siya yung teacher mo for 6 years. And these are the who's who ng Pilipinas. For violin, we have Dino Decena of the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra. We have Gina Medina Perez, Coke Bolipata. Ganong level, ganong caliber ng faculty yung meron yung mga students. So, given yun, afford ko yung music making sa classes. Now, here's the problem. The only problem is, I teach at PHSA, Philippine High School for the Arts. And nag-iisa siyang school sa Pilipinas. Ang mas malaking problema doon is, hindi ganito, hindi ito nare-replicate sa lahat ng schools across the country. Especially sa public school system natin. Doon pa lang sa number. I have 34 students from grade 7 to 12. Isang section lang yun normally. Di ba? Isang class size lang yun in most schools, public and private. Minsan, less pa nga yung 34. Mas marami pa yung hinahandle ng students. Now, ito yung start ng actual na presentation on dun sa matter. So, inintroduce ko lang yon just to put context na ba't ganun yung view niya with the new normal. Here's the other side of the story. we had a working old normal. Posible nyo rin sabihin kasi na Philippine High School for the Arts pala siya nagtuturo. So hindi niya tayo naiintindihan as public school teachers, hindi niya naman na-experience yung na-experience natin. To give you an information, I'm part of a network, a small group of MAPE teachers and SPA teachers na ang initiative started nung meron ng pandemic. So naging support system siya, support group siya for MAPE teachers and SPAs. And nag-share kami doon ng best practices. So naging honorary member ako ng group na yun. And may mga MAPE teachers and SPA teachers na nagsisend sa akin ng mga modules nila for consultation. Anong pwede kong gawin dito? Anong activity yung pwede kong ilagay dito? So alam ko yung stories. Plus I have friends. I know people who are teaching in that. So hindi bago sa akin yung itsura ng public school system natin and even private ones. So sabi nga, we had a working old normal, quote unquote. Like for example, yung mga special program in the arts natin or SPAs, yung mga music specialist, vocal music specialist to be specific, tuturo sila ng songs to their choirs, right? We have rondalla specialists na nagtuturo ng pyesa din dun sa mga instrument specialization naman nila. In most music classes ng private schools, merong mga flute recorder or recorder flute ensemble. Sa Baguio, I think meron pang tubular bell ensemble. Ginaganap sa tumutunog. May mga schools na merong angklung and bamboo ensemble, which is good. And yung pinakamarami is the drum, lyre, and bugle, or yung mas common, yung drum and lyre ensemble. So choir and yan yung pinaka-common. Gumagana yun, di ba? Yun yung old normal natin, pero gumagana yun. So again, yung question, what's there to change? Gumagana yung old normal mo. The only problem is, limitado yung pwede natin gawin. Hindi natin siya pwedeng gawin ngayon. And somehow, this presentation revolves around technology. If you are education graduates, regardless kung anong course, regardless kung music education kayo or MAPE, or kahit ibang majors na pilitang magturo ng MAPE, you had this subject, yung educational technology, EdTech. And in most teacher education institutions, you have two EdTechs, di ba? EdTech 1 and EdTech 2. And sa kahit anong EdTech courses, ang definition natin ng technology, these are tools. These are tools that would help, that would make your work easier. Yun ang purpose ng technology. Yun ang definition, true definition ng technology. So sa mga nakalista dyan, dun sa other side, dun sa left side ng screen, you have gadgets, pero technology rin ang piece of paper. You have software notation like Finale, Sibelius, MuseScore, Encore. Technology yun. Pero technology rin ang handwritten manuscripts. I have professors in conducting and arranging composition na nagsusulat pa rin, sulat kamay pa rin. So handwritten manuscripts, considered pa rin yun as technology. Hindi limited ang technology with musical instruments. So wala kaming piano, wala kaming keyboard, wala kaming ganyan, wala kaming guitar, drum set. Hindi yun yung limitation ng technology. Technology ring maituturing yung any sound producing objects. Mamaya try kong magbigay ng examples. And about graphics, meaning digital graphics, hindi yun yung limitation ng technology. Technology pa rin naman ng illustration, manual na pagdodrawing. Still technology. So technology should be tools that would make your life and work easier. Now, ito yung gusto kong i-establish na pinaka-importanteng punto nung pag-uusapan natin today. And anong relationship ng technology doon, anong relationship ng new normal doon, ano yung pwedeng magawa. Kasi music was, is and will always be a skill-based learning area. So skills ang basihan. Yun yung primary goal for us learning music, for us teaching music, tayong mga nasa education. Remember that, skill-based. Ang isang pinakamalaking problema at pinakamalaking pahirap sa atin ngayon as music educators is yung reduction. Wala tayong choice. Kailangan mag-reduce with yung nabawas na days and months from the supposedly June na pasukan and for the private schools, August na pasukan, na na-move tayo. So, may nabawas na sessions, may nabawas na days, calendar days. So, kailangan magbawas. Plus, dahil wala kang face-to-face, dahil online and modular yung option lang na meron ka, may kailangang mawala, may kailangang bawas. So, the solution na binigay nila is from the old CG, curriculum guide, they identified yung competencies and tinransform natin yung competencies into most essential learning competencies or MELC, MELC na tinatawag. Probably in another discussion, gusto kong upuan yun. Pero basically ako hindi ako sang-ayon dun sa MELC. Simply because if a curriculum is substantial, you can't reduce it. Pero obviously, kung dapat siyang i-reduce, kung yung original ay may re-reduce to most essential, meaning merong hindi ganun ka-essential. So meaning merong redundancies, meaning may duplications. So mukhang hindi gumagana yung reduction scheme na meron tayo as of now. Baka masyado pa rin siyang malaki, baka masyado pa rin bulky. So ito yung tatlong basic na kailangang mapalabas dun sa reduction scheme. And this is a proposal, no, of some sort. Pero dito iikot dapat. So tatlo lang. Skills, literacy, and assimilation. Now, assimilation, some teachers or some people might call it integration. Some might call it cultural education, cultural sensitivity, mga ganong sort of things. Pero assimilation, yun yung term na song gamitin. And may ibigay ko yung bakit. So first, yung skills. Basically, simply put, these are what the students do or what the students can do after learning something. So physical, what the students can demonstrate physically. Then second one would be literacy, what the students know. Ano yung pangalan ni ganito? Anong tawag sa mga instruments na yan? Anong tawag sa symbol na to? Those are literacy. Di ba? Yung skill may physical involvement. Kaya niyang mag-clap at mag-tap ng sabay with different rhythm. Kaya niyang kumanta ng nasa tono. Kaya niyang kumanta ng mataas, ng mababa. Those are skills. Literacy, yung alam. Pangalan ng composer, anong period galing si composer, anong tawag sa music na yan, anong genre yung music na yan. Those are stuff that goes with literacy. Ina-address niya yung pagiging illiterate natin. And then lastly, assimilation, yun yung resibo. So sabi ko nga, the receipt of students' understanding. Ito yung justification and manifestation of kung natutunan nga ba ng estudyante. After ba ng lesson, naging mabuti silang tao? After ba ng lesson, naging culturally sensitive silang mga tao? Things of that nature. So yun yung assimilation. Are those claims, are those knowledge supported by science and logic? Yeah. The bigger question, yun yung nandun sa assimilation. So tatlo lang ha. Again, tandaan natin yan. Skills, literacy, and assimilation. If we are to reduce the old curriculum guide and the entries from that curriculum guide, ito yung tatlong dapat mapalabas. let's give a concrete example dun sa sinabi ko. And do me a favor, if you have a copy of the curriculum guide, yung sa music, yung basic, sundan nyo din. Tingnan nyo rin, tapos sundan natin. So, these are lifted from the second quarter grade 7 music. Music of the Cordilleras, Mindoro, Palawan, and the Visayas. So, dun sa left column, yung mga competencies. And then dun sa right are the reduction schemes na yung nandun sa kaninang pinesent ko. Yung skills, literacy, and assimilation. So basically, gumagawa lang tayo ng chart. No? So una, dun sa topic na yan, the first competency is identifies the musical characteristics of representative selections. Blah, blah, blah. So pag tinignan natin siya, ano yung in-address, ano yung na-achieve dito sa competency na to. And pag tinignan natin, basically literacy pa din. Bakit? Identifies characteristics. So nahuhulog siya sa descriptions. Nahuhulog siya sa comparison. Ano yung difference ng Kalinga sa Ifugao? Ano yung difference ng Taga Mountain Province? Ibaloy sa Kankanay. Descriptions. So may comparison and description. Compare and contrast. And then assimilation. Kasi magkakaroon kayo ng discussions on the whys. Yeah, yung mga bakit. Bakit laging may gongs sa mga rituals and practices, festivities ng Cordilleras? Bakit ang tugtog ng Palawan at ng Visayas ay merong harmonic instrument? Meron silang semblance. Sa Palawan may semblance ng gitara, sa Visayas merong guitar. So may harmonic instrument na involved. Bakit? So nandun lahat yun. So pwede mong i-attack sa history, attack sa kung saan-saan. Pero nandun yun. So yun yung assimilation part. Yun lang, dalawa lang. Number 2, analyze the musical elements, blah, blah, blah. Vocal and instrumental. Ganun din, literacy din siya kasi descriptions and comparison. Ang assimilation part lang nito may iba ng konti kasi kailangan mong mag-matching and mag-pairing. And yung association, importanteng word yun. Saan naka-associate yung specific chant? Halimbawa, yung hud-hud chanting ng Cordillerans, ng mga Ifugao, saan siya naka-associate? Anong tradition siya kinakanta? So yung association na yun, na-associate natin siya with a certain ritual. Bakit ang mga Visayans, ang mga folk songs ng Visayas, karamihan ay may kinalaman sa dagat. Si Pilimon na masol sa kadagatan. And marami pang Visayan folk songs na may kinalaman doon. So geographical yung orientation. These are assimilation, stuff na may kinalaman sa assimilation. Third one, explains, at importante explains na yun, the distinguishing characteristics, etc. Same, literacy. Descriptions, comparisons, pero dahil meron kang explain, meron ka dapat verbal articulation. So your students should be able to articulate themselves, whether orally or written. So yun yung magiging sukatan. Assimilation, ganun din, may discussions on the whys. Now, before I proceed with number 4, balikan ko lang ng mabilis yung number 2. May problema ako dun sa number 2 na competency on the verb na analyze. And mamaya, babalikan natin yan. Kasi, kung tutuusin yung analyze, pwede siyang mas malalim, pwede siyang musical analysis, pero alam natin na hindi ganun yung analysis na ginagawa natin pag sinabing analyze the musical elements. Hindi. Mamaya, bigay ako ng example on that. So, balik ako, number 4, explores ways of producing sounds. So, dito, magcha-chart ka. Ito, ano yung pinapresent ko sa inyo ngayon, naka-chart siya. Gagawa ka ng sariling chart. Itong instrument na to, ano yung pwedeng replacement? Ito yung object, ganito siya pinapatunog. So, meron kang chart, meron kang list. And then, your assimilation there would be trial and error. Subukan mo papaluin. Oops, hindi masyadong matunog. Pag nag-stomp, yun pala yung pinakamatunog na pwedeng magawa with this object. So, ganong trial and error. Yun yung exploration. And then number 5, improvises simple rhythmic and melodic accompaniments. Ang problema ko dito, ang layo ng number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 actually, dun sa number 5. To be honest, dun sa word na improvise, yung actual definition pa lang nun, uubusin na yung oras mo. Kasi hindi nga nakatulong yung 1, 2, 3, 4 to build going to 5. Di ba? Kasi ang mangyayari dito, tatanungin kayo ng students bigla, Sir, ma'am, kapag ganito po ba, improvisation na? Or, ma'am, pag ginawa kong ganito, improvisation na ba siya? Mauubos yung oras niyo sa ganong tanong. Kasi wala namang finid dun sa earlier competencies that led you to the skill ng improvisation. So hindi siya nagiging skill kasi definition lang ng improvisation yung napag-uusapan natin. So nahuhulog siya as literacy pa rin. Defining improvisation. Then yun, paglilabel. Nililabel lang natin. Now siguro, alam niyo na kung saan ako papunta rito. If mag-focus tayo dun sa right side of the screen, makikita niyong literacy and assimilation lang siya sa lahat. And given yun, literacy and assimilation, meaning pwede palang i-combine yung 1 to 5. And marami pang ibang competencies na kasunod nito. Pumili lang tayo ng kasya sa isang page. Pero dahil literacy and assimilation yung ina-address nilang lahat, pwede mong emerge yung 5 to. Mas marami sanang na-achieve, mas marami sana tayong na-accomplish kung i-combine na lang natin sila. Pare-pareho silang ina-address, right? Pero may nawawala. Nasaan yung skill? Ano yung skill na na-impart natin to our students? Ano yung na-acquire nilang skill after learning music from you as a teacher? Yun yung nawawala. Subukan nating sagutin. Here are some of the usual misconceptions. Kasi inisip natin may skill doon pero in reality wala. So una, yung naming and or labeling of instruments is not actually a skill. Hindi skill yun. Okay, organ yan kasi may pedal. Tungatong yan kasi bamboo stamping tube. Hindi siya skill eh. Ito ang tungatong, ito ang bukaka, ito ang pateteg, ito ang kulintang, ito ang gangsa. Hindi skill yun. Literacy pa rin yan. Now, improve natin. Paano kung lagyan namin pictures? Being skill na ba siya? Hindi pa rin. Matching the names / the labels to images is still not a skill. So, halimbawa yung listahan mo ng nagpakita ng picture, tapos papangalanan, ito yung tungatong, ito yung kubing, no? Hindi kulang pa rin. Hindi pa rin siya skill. And then third one, defining / or narrating the structural descriptions and properties of an instrument is still not a skill. We have a lip valley flute. It has 5 holes. The sound is produced by blowing, blah, blah, blah. Kahit gaano ka kagaling magsalita, kahit gaano kadami yung nasabi mo about the instrument, it's not skill. Walang skill na impart to the students. Wala pa rin, right? Nag-describe ka lang. Naalala ko tuloy, I used to have a music teacher na dinidefine niya, tinuturuan niya kami ng solfeggio. And ang way niya of teaching solfeggio is, ang approach niya for teaching solfeggio to us, sing do in the key of, sing sol in the key of C, replace it with G, and then sing the scale. Kahit gaano mo balibalik na rin, yun yung exams namin. Tapos, key of D naman, sing re in the key of C, replace it with do, and sing the scale. So, kabisado ko pa nga hanggang ngayon. Pero hindi ako natutong magbasa ng notes. Alam ko lang yung structuring. So, hindi siya nakatulong. Hindi rin siya skill. Hindi ko alam kung may naka-experience sa inyo ng the same, pero hindi siya nag-develop ng skill for me. So, sample natin. Top left corner natin, we have the tongali. It's a nose flute from the Cordillera, Kalinga, nose flute, tongali or tulali. Sa gitna, you have a boat-shaped lute from the Bilaan people of Mindanao, Lumad, Mindanao. It's called paglong. Okay, so then there's the bottom right, you have the juice harp from Mindanao. Mindanao kasi okiri yung design. It's called kubing. We also have juice harp from the north, tawag naman kulibaw. Next. These are grade 10. Grade 10 content. Latin American, Afro-Cuban music. You have the guiro or the scraper. Sa clockwise tayo. Then the bongo, not the senator, by the way. Bongo drums. You have the bigger drum, bombo criollo. And then lastly, you have the guataca, which is basically a shovel. Then sa right side ng screen, you have the Latin American, Afro-Cuban percussion and song. Ngayon, alam natin yung mga instruments. So what? Yeah, that's the ultimate question. Ano na yung skill ng students kung alam nila yan? Parang wala. Diba? And ito yung lumalabas sa mga exams natin. Kala natin, ang ganda ng assessment natin kasi lalagay pa tayo ng pictures ng instruments or magpapadrawing tayo for them to identify. Trust me, dun sa lahat ng assessment na nasilip ko, laging merong enumerate all the bamboo instruments of the Cordillera. Enumerate the instruments of the Kulintangan Sak. Laging meron nun. Kung ma-enumerate nila, ano naman? Hanggang literacy level, which is a good thing. Hindi ko dinidisregard yun. Literacy is good. Pero skill-based ng music. Di ba? Yun yung importante. Kaya may ranking. Skill, literacy, assimilation. Skill pa rin yung pinaka-importante sa lahat. So define natin yung skills. Skill ako ng skill, tapos wala naman akong dinidefine. Wala naman akong. Ano nga ba yung skills? So here are some of the examples. So physical repetition or recreation of a given pattern, rhythmic skill. So pwede nyong itry. Bawa. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pwede mong i-repeat or i-recreate. Skill yun. Kasi merong students na hindi makaka-respond to that. Bigay ka ng mas iba yung ibibigay niya sa'yo. Or mabilis, or mabagal. Ganun. Second yun, ginawa ko na. Clapping, tapping, stomping along a given pulse. Here's your pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the beat. Kabaliktaran nun, syncopation. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skill din yun. Kasi somehow, may ibang basic motor movements na nagli-lead for the development of that skill. Coordination is part of that. Pag hindi ka coordinated, pwedeng sira yan. Pero skill yun. Sobrang basic tignan, pero skills yun eh. Echoing back a given melody contour. Ta-ra, ta-ra. Repeat. May mga students na hindi makakaulit nun. Merong ibang hindi ganun ka-musically literate at musically inclined na students, pero they can repeat yung direction. Contour is direction. So, pwede nilang gawin yung ascending direction or descending direction. Descending. Makikita mong may steps din sila pababa, pero hindi lang accurate. But the good thing is, pwede siyang i-develop. Diba? Pwede siyang ayusin through time. So pwedeng mag-progress. Yun yung essence ng skill. Singing and clapping different patterns simultaneously. So, ang sample ko rito, leron sinta. Leron sinta, tararararara, tarara. Problema doon, hindi lahat ng bata kabisado yung lyrics. Pero okay lang. And then yung isang pattern na sasabay, kaya simultaneously, kung kayang kumanta ng bata sa tono, good. Kung hindi, okay lang din. Leron sinta, buko ng papaya. Kung hindi kayang itono, okay lang yung rhythm. Leron sinta, buko ng papaya. It's still a musical skill. Kahit hindi accurate yung pitch ng bata. Rhythm yun, rhythm to, simultaneous. Nadidiscriminate nila yung dalawang rhythm. And then lastly, playing a part with relative precision or accuracy. Doon na lang, doon sa syncopation kanina na example ko. One player would play, the other player would play, pero pag hiwalay na nilang gagawin yon, medyo challenging yon. Or baliktad, pwede namang paghiwalay, mas madali, pero pag pinagsabay, nahihirapan. So yung idea ng independence, skill pa rin yan. Musical skill yan. These are skills na active. Dahil nasabi ko nga kanina, kailangan may physical involvement ang skills. Now, here are some of the instruments na, actually hindi siya instruments, mga sound-producing objects. Yan yung tinutukoy kong sound-producing objects kanina. Mga bagay na pwedeng tumunog at pwedeng mag-replace dun sa instrument. Kasi inaangal natin as teachers, di ba? Especially mga nasa remote areas. Wala naman po kaming tungatong dito. Wala naman po kaming kulintang. Wala kaming keyboard. Wala kaming yung mga instruments na yan. Well, hindi naman lahat meron. At mas marami yung wala. Mas maraming schools yung wala niyang ngayon. Ilang schools lang naman yung meron eh. Ilang school sa inyo merong sariling kulintang? Bihira. Even sa Cordilleras, walang mga bamboo instruments yung ibang public schools. Karamihan may gongs, pero hindi lahat na. Pero ito yung mga pwedeng alternative. No? Yung bato, yung makinis, yung pwedeng panghilod. Then you have there, medyo social, yung Pringles na tube. Hindi kami kumakain ng Pringles, masyadong social yan. Oishi lang kami, oishi. Pero, okay, nilagay ko pa rin. Walis tambok. Hindi yung knitted one, hindi yung magkagaganon na, kasi malambot yun. Ito yung solid yung kahoy. Tutunog yan pag pinipalo against each other. Then same procedure, yung kawayan. Hindi to instrument, huwag niyo siyang isipin na itong hindi. Ayan. Makikita niyo naman dun sa lines, hindi siya open dun sa other end, tapos yung kabila close. So, pinutol-putol lang talaga siya na kawayan. Papaluin niyo siya against each other, mag-produce din siya ng sound as a percussion. And then you have bottles. At whistle. Ito makaka-relate siguro yung mga MAPE graduates at yung mga MAPE teachers natin. Noong meron pang MAPE sa mga teacher education schools, hindi naman talaga siya MAPE kasi ang paborito nila is PE. Very little yung tinuturo sa atin about music. Karamihan, PE. Very scientific pa nituro sa atin yung PE. Pero yung music hindi masyado. So pag pumunta ka ng palengke, mas may chance kang makabili ng whistle, ng pito, kaysa tuning fork. Or pumunta ka sa kahit anong tindahan. Pumunta ka ng mall, mas may chance kang makabili ng pito kaysa tuning fork. Or anything na related sa music. So whistle, common yan. 2 piso lang yung pinakamurang pito or whistle sa mga palengke. Yeah. Lahat sila pwedeng explore. Kasi pwede silang gamitin in different ways. So meron ka dyang sound producing object na blown or hinihipan. Meron ka dyang sound-producing object na pinapalo against each other, like yung kawayan at yung walis, or yung bato. Meron ka dyang sound-producing object na pwede mong i-stomp, yung tube. The same way na tong is played. Yung bote, unlike yung whistle, pwede siyang mag-function as parang yung sagay po ng Cordillera, yung panpipe. No? Parang ito, may sample ako, bote. Empty bottles. Alam niyo yung trick ng bote na tinotono, right? Now, sa ganitong pag-play, pwede pa rin siyang may tune. Change. Palit, no? Babaan pa natin. So, natutune siya. Yeah. So, pwede kang gumawa ngayon ng sagay po using bottles with water. Yun yung mga pwedeng alternative. Especially dahil pwedeng lumabas. Hindi rin makakarating sa inyo yung mga instruments kung bibili natin ngayon. Diba? Noon nga, wala. Nung face-to-face, wala yan eh. Ngayon pa kaya. So, hindi natin siya masusolusyonan ngayon. So, ito yung mga sound-producing objects na sinasabi ko. Okay? Pero meron ding skills na passive. Sabi ko kanina, physical. May physical involvement ng skills. Pero pwede maging passive din ang skill. Eh. Meaning, hindi ka nagka-clap, hindi ka nagtatap, hindi ka tumutugtog. Pero may nade-develop na skill. Ha? Pwede yun? Pwede. Especially sa music. Skill-based. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na physical. So, isa dyan ang pag-distinguish ng bagong pattern. Kanina kinanta ko na to. Tararan. Pattern 1, pattern 2. Tararan. Pattern 3. Tararararararara. Very obvious. And medyo malinaw din kung ano yung melody. Lullaby. Rams, lullaby to be exact. Anong line yung naiba? So obviously yung third line yung iba doon. Pero there are students na hindi ma-recognize yun. Ha, pareho lang. Tatlo sila, pare-pareho lang. Pare-pareho lang yung tono. Meron. Siguro hindi sa SPA, pero dun sa regular music class natin, meron hindi nakaka-recognize na. So skill siya. Musical skill, to be specific. Second one is figuring out or recognition ng direction of a given melodic pattern. Kanina nabanggit ko na yan, yung ascending, descending. Tararan, tararan, ascending, descending. Ascending. Tararararan, tararararan, descending. May mga students, may mga learners tayo na magre-respond differently. Baliktad na nila naririnig. So skill pa rin siya na pwedeng i-develop. Kasi ngayon magbibigay ng feedback. Sabihin nila sa'yo ascending or descending, sabihin mong hindi, baliktad. May feedback ang ibibigay. And then slowly, pinaprocess nyo yung knowledge at yung skill. Pattern discrimination, yung kanina, yung dalawang sabay. Paghihiwalayin niya ngayon yung dalawa. Okay, tugtugin mo yung pattern ng right hand. Yun lang siya. This time, yung left hand naman. Discrimination. The last one is a bit psychological. Transferring and redirection. Ang example ko nito, isang mali natin as teachers, this is a very effective tool. Film viewing or film showing. Diba? Pag nagpapanood tayo ng movies, nagpapanood tayo ng documentaries, magandang tool yan. Ang problem is yung motivation behind sa pagpapanood. So ang lagi natin ginagawa, nagpapanood tayo ng life story ni Mozart, life story ni Beethoven, na napakaliit nung nare-retain ng students because of their attention span and their interest. Very foreign sa kanila yun eh. So hindi nyo may expect sa kanila na tumutok Manood for 2 hours, tapos may ma-retain na worth 2 hours. Wala. Pero pwede mo silang papanoorin ng ibang movies na mas interesting sa kanila and ita-transfer mo ngayon yung napulot from that movie to music. I'll give you an example. Avengers. Lahat ng bata napanood yung Avengers. Infinity War, Endgame, even yung mga earlier. At mamaya gagamitin ko siyang example. So, ano ba yung, ano yung team? Alam ng lahat ng bata yan. Ma-recognize nila yan. Even yung latter part. Alam nila yan. Ma-recognize nila yan. Ngayon, pwede natin siyang gamitin as materials for them to analyze. Pwede nating ipahimay sa kanila yung... Kasi yung material, alam nilang lahat eh. Common to everyone. Hindi bagong acquire na material for them or knowledge for them. Familiar na kagad. So, yung familiarity nila ang i-inform mo. Doon siya nagiging strong. Bigyan tayo ng halimbawa ng activity. So, let's have a duple meter na regular pulse. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Second instruction, chant along using the Filipino words below. Identify the words with first syllables falling on the downbeat. So beat 1. Langit, lupa, dahon, maya, isda. Tama ba yung isda? Mali, right? Maya, isda. Continue. Hangin, araw, buwan. Tama ba yung buwan? Hindi. Buwan. Lapis, papel. Mali rin yung papel. Lapis, papel. Duhat, atis, melon. Kung English, pero Tagalog tayo, Pilipino tayo. So yun yung list of words. Mukha siyang basic. Mukha siyang pang grade 3 or pang grade 4. Pero kahit adults nalilito dyan. Nagbibigay ako ng lectures with MAPE teachers, teachers na, inset. And then mga adults na nalilito dito. At marami namang rason. Hindi lang musical yung reason. Pwedeng language. Pero point is, kahit adults minsan confused dito sa bagay na ito. This is a concept na hiniram from Filipino, yung kanilang malumay, malumi, mabilis, maragsak, right? Yeah, yung mga inflections ng words. Himayin natin tong activity. Anong concept yung sinusubukang ituro? Downbeat and upbeat. So all the words na napopol dun sa beat 1, yung first syllable, are downbeat. The rest na hindi ay upbeat. So, langit, downbeat. Lupa, downbeat. Dahon, downbeat. Maya, downbeat. Isda. Second syllable yung nag-fall. Isda. Buwan. Papel. Upbeat sila. Basic. Sobrang basic na musical skill ng tinuturo. Pero what bigger musical ideas can be integrated? Textual logics. Yung accent ng words. Nasaan yung accented syllable? Especially sa mga singers, importante yan. Now, from that activity, kanina grade 7 tayo, di ba? Subukan natin gumawa ng blues. Grade 10 kasi ang blues, yung Afro-American pop hanggang popular music, contemporary music, included ito. Ngayon, if-fit mo ngayon yung mga words, yung mga pinanggalingan natin kanina. So you have araw, langit, lupa, buwan. So yun yung first line. Araw, langit, lupa, at buwan. Araw, langit, lupa, at buwan. Bahay, kubo, buhol, at ulan. Nagamit mo yung mga words. Ano yung formula? Tatlong words na nasa downbeat and then the fourth word upbeat. Tapos dilagyan ng at. So meron ka ngayong list ng words lang, tapos in-identify nila ano yung basic na skill, upbeat and downbeat, na supposedly alam nila earlier. Tapos eventually tinransform mo siya into something tangible. Nag-compose ka ng sarili mong blues. Now, if sa face-to-face ito, mas masaya kasi 2 lines lang yun eh. Diba? Inulit ko lang yung first line. Kaya parang 3 lines yun. First and second, pareho din yung third, diba? Student A, magbibigay ng 2 lines. Student B, magbibigay ng another 2 lines. Student C, another 2 lines. Hanggang sa bubuo kayo ng isang blues from your section. Of course, nandun na yung literacy part. Di-discuss mo yung Charlie Parker, di-discuss mo si Count Basie at sina Miles Davis, John Coltrane. Pero yung actual na blues, na-experience nila by doing that. Na pwede mong i-convert ngayon, either online or sa module. Marami nang naging discussions on this, yung remote learning. Meron kang online blended, at ito yung mga nakalista, and you have modular. So modular pwedeng digitized, so pwedeng soft copy, or non-digitized, meaning printed. So sa online blended, meron kang live or real-time discussions, pwedeng via Zoom, gaya nito, Google Meet, at kung ano-ano pang video conferencing. Pero sa modules, pwede ka namang magpadala ng worksheets na printed. Pwedeng for analysis, tapos magbigay sila ng sagot. Sa video conferencing na live at real-time discussion, pwede kang mag-leader chorus. Na magde-demonstrate ako, sing back to me. Pero sa self-paced learning na modular, pwede ka naman magpadala ng score. Aralin mo to, and I'll send feedback. Pwede both. You have imitation kapag yung online, like ito. Pwede ako mag-demonstrate, ulitin nyo sa akin. Sa modular, kailangan magpadala ng accompaniment ng music. So accompanied music yung pinaperform natin. Aralin nila based on that accompaniment. Virtual music making, ang dami na ito. Maraming virtual choir, virtual orchestra, virtual concerts. Ang dami na na. Sa modular, padadala mo yung gamit, padadala mo yung material, aralin nila, bibigyan mo sila ng sapat na oras to learn the music. Yun yung mode. Sa online at sa blended synchronous and asynchronous, isang kagandahan is pwede ka ngayon mag-invite from somewhere else. Sa case ko, nakakapag-invite ako ng international speakers. Dahil pwede siya ngayon. Ngayon yung perfect time para gawin siya. So, yung mga colleagues ko dati from international groups, pwede silang ma-invite to talk to my students. And diba? Discuss, himayin yung mga works, himayin yung mga piyesa na meron yung mga students ko. Pwede mong gawa yun. So, pwedeng may sharing, pwede siyang interviewin, pwedeng mag-Q&A. Wala ka nun sa modular. Pero pwede mo pa rin magawa yung sessions. Pwede mo pa rin magawa yung sharing. Pwede mo pa rin magawa yung interview. Written nga lang. Lahat written. Susulat yung mga pwedeng tanong ng mga bata, pwede nyo i-discuss muna, ano yung mga pwedeng lumabas, padadala kay guest speaker or resource speaker, sasagutin, forward sa mga bata in form of the module. Pwede pa rin siya. Hindi nga lang kayo nagkakaharap virtually. Isang kagandahan ng modular is yung supplementary readings. Not necessarily related to the content or to the topic, pero yung sabi ko nga kanina, pwede siyang redirection or transferring. Pwede silang may mapulot doon na bigger ideas and big concepts na pwede nilang i-transfer into their music. Sa online blended, meron kang lecture videos na pre-recorded, pwede mong i-record na tapos padala sa kanila. Or podcasts. Pwede mo rin naman gawin yan sa modular. Sasama mo dun sa via flash drive or Bluetooth kung maliit lang yung size. And then song list. Meron kang listahan na ibibigay sa kanila, part ng module. So these are the technology na pwedeng ma-utilize sa panahon ngayon. At huwag nyo na pahirapan sarili natin. Di ba? Huwag natin pahirapan. Andyan ang radyo, andyan ang TV. Maraming students, karamihan ng students natin may access dito sa dalawang bagay. Maaaring wala silang phone, pero most likely may access sila dito. Ikaw yung mas may access sa mas maraming bagay. So, it's your job to figure out ano yung pwedeng common sa lahat. Ano yung pwedeng common sa mga students mo na maririnig nila sa radyo, na mapapanood nila sa TV. Yung music na to, lumalabas siya sa ganitong series, sa ganitong channel. Itong song na to ay ginagamit as advertisement sa ganitong radio station. Pwede lang abangan niya. Common siya sa lahat. Diba? Napabalikan ko yung analysis kanina. Diba? Napabalik pa ako dun sa competency number 2. At sabi ko, problematic yung analysis. Kasi supposedly, if we use the term analysis, dapat ito siya. So, sikat na sikat yung kantang yan ngayon. Diba? Baby ko, Zebiana. Ito supposedly yung analysis dun sa Zebiana. So, symmetrical inform daw siya. Meron siyang 4 bars. Each phrase. 4 bars yun lagi. Meron siyang progression na 1, 1, 4, and 4 minor. So tonic, subdominant, and subdominant minor. Kung in terms of chords, yan ay C, C, sa key of C kunyari, C, C, F, tsaka F minor. All throughout yan. Magbabago lang sa bridge kasi magiging 2, 3, 2, 3. Nasa key of C yun ay D minor, E minor, D minor, E minor. Yun yung progression ng Zebiana. Pero nasa key of A flat siya, by the way. A flat ang key. So, yung 1, 1, 4, 4 minor ay A flat, D flat, D flat minor. And yung 2, 3 would be D flat minor and C minor. D flat minor, C minor. Ang melody ng verses ay merong Sol, Do, Re, Mi, tetrachord. Yan. S, D, R, M. Sol, Do, Re, Mi yun. Sol, Do, Re, Mi, tetrachord. Do, Re, Do, Re, Do, Re, Re, Sol. Yan. So may Sol na naliligaw. Sa chorus, Do, Re, Mi lang. 3 notes lang siya. Do, 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 re, mi, re. Mi, re, do, 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 re, mi, re. Mi, re, do, 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 re, do, re, mi, re, do, re, re. Do, 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 re, mi, re, do, re, re. Do, re, mi lang siya. Meron siyang hypoionian if you are to discuss modes, medieval modes. Hypoionian yung meron kang Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, etc. Ionian. Kasi yung do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do yun, pero ang lowest mo sol. So kung modes yan na medieval, high pa yun yan. Nasa grade 9 yung medieval modes, by the way. Rhythmic patterns, yung string sa start, ay meron siyang tit, 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 tiri, tit, 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 tiri, tit, 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 tiri, tit, 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 which is 8, 8, 8, 8, 16, 16, 8, 8, 8 notes. Strings yun. Bass drum on the first beat and before the fourth beat. Starting verse 2. And then merong snare rim slap on second and fourth beat starting verse 3. Naka 8 notes lahat ng hi-hat. That's how you analyze a song. Na kung ganun, siguro natin i-analyze ang isang kanta, baka hindi kailangan classical music yung examples. Baka pwedeng magamit kahit popular music dahil dyan. Diba? So yun yung problem is hindi ito yung analysis natin na ginagamit. Hindi natin ganito view yung analysis ng term. Mahaba yun, mabilis dito, mabagal doon, mataas, mababa. Descriptions lang. Hindi siya analysis. Ito yung musical analysis. Right? Next. Ngayon, pinaka-importante yung process over product. Tingnan muna natin ano yung pagkakaiba ng dalawa. So if it's product-oriented learning, isa sa mga competencies na hihingin mo would be write or play the chords of a song. Turuan mo sila mag-gitara kahit wala pang alam mag-gitara, turuan mo sila mag-keyboard so that they can play yung chords. Sa process-oriented learning, pwede mo silang dituruan. Limited yung opportunities and wala namang face-to-face, walang chance na magawa siya. Pwede mo ituro sa kanila yung process, which is to supply the other notes of a given triads. So sa C, halimbawa, given yung Do, ano yung kulang? Mi and Sol. Sa E major chord, given yung Sol sharp, ano yung kulang? Mi at T. Ganun. Nakukuha yung process kahit gano'n siya kabagal, pero nagkakaroon ng mastery. Product-oriented might ask you to compose or arrange a song. Haba, di ba? Parang sobrang demanding. Pero sa process-oriented learning, pwede mo siyang i-reduce into 4 measures. 4-bar melody lang. Meron kang chord sa ibabaw, C, A minor, G, F. Nangyari yun. Tapos kailangan mag-fit yung mga melodies nila dun sa chords na yun. Sa ilalim. Ganun lang, kasimple. Susulat lang sila ng melody na may click, tapos dapat bagay dun sa mga chords na nakasupply sa taas. Another, perform excerpts of opera or aria or recitative with relative precision. Lahat ng bata na panood ang One More Chance at yung A Second Chance. Kung hindi man sa sine dahil masyado pa silang bata that time, sa TV dahil ng best na siyang pinalabas. So, alam nila yung dialogue na, Poy, ako na lang ulit. Right? Tapos yung sagot ni Popoy na, you had me at my worst, she had me at my best. You had me at my best, she had me at my worst. Still you chose to break my heart. So, dialogue. So process-oriented, pwede mong gamitin yung dialogue na yun. And to be fair, kahit anong dialogue from any movie, ay pwede mong kunin and i-convert into something musical. Hindi mo siya kailangang pangalanan, pero eventually yung dialogue na yun is the recitative of operas and oratorios. So pag sa grade 9 yan lumalabas. So, tutunuhan mo yung dialogue. Hoy, ako na lang ulit. Something like that. Tapos nag-uusap sila. Kasi ganun yung opera. Ganun yung dialogue sa opera. The last, sa product, They might ask you to play or accompany simple chord progressions. So tuturo sa inyo yung chords. Tapos mag-accompanya ka ng isang kanta. Ito yung chords ng Love Yourself. Justin Bieber pa talaga yung example. Ito yung chords niya, tugtugin. Pero yung process-oriented na klase might ask the students to create a 3-minute medley or a 3-minute mashup based on the given chord progression. Siguro kung music teacher kayo, most likely alam niyo yung concept ng 4 chords song. At ilan yung ano yung mga songs na pwedeng mag-fit dun sa 4 chords na yan. Pwede mong padalahan yung students ng accompaniment na naka-loop for 3 minutes ng chords na yun, ng 4 na chords na yun. Tapos sila mag-supply. Tapos pag binalik nila sa yung module, nakalista yung mga songs na pinasok nila dun sa 3 minutes. Skills yun. Hindi yun literacy. Kasi gagawin nila yan. At i-develop nila yung work. So in a way, indirectly nag-arrange ka, indirectly nag-compose ka dun sa process-oriented. So ako, pro-process-oriented ako, lalo sa panahon niya. Kanina ginamit kong example yung Avengers. Tan ta ta taran tan tarara tan 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 yung team na yan. Now, itong example dito ay galing dun sa second team na kinanta ko. Pero wala yung pitch. Rhythm lang. Ngayon, pwede natin supplyan ng words. Inalmusal. Inalmusal kahapon ay tapsilog at juice. Bagay din yung second. Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you, Lord. And yung number 3, bagay din. Kung sasabihin ng sa kanila, mag-supply kayo ng words na babagay sa rhythm na to, mahirap. Pero kung meron kang supporting na explanation na ito yung rhythm ng Avengers, mas maiintindihan nila. Yeah. Next po. So what's there to change before we actually end? Ano nga ba yung mga kailangan talagang baguhin? So I'll give you 5 letters that corresponds to pitch. So una, philosophy and role. Role mo as a teacher, role mo as a musician, apektado yun ng philosophy, ng overall philosophy. So yun yung number 1 na kailangan magbago. Na hindi natin tinuturo yung music. Hindi tayo yung ultimate source ng music. Ang music is everywhere. Nandyan lang siya sa paligid for us to take. Tayo lang yung gagawa ng environment, tayo yung gagawa ng contingency plans, wherein pwede natin manipulate yung mga elements ng music. So yun yung isang philosophy na kailangan baguhin. So hindi natin i-feed sa kanila, ito yung composers ng classical period. Ito ang composers from Renaissance period. Hindi ka na. So yun yung mga kailangan mag-change. Second would be importance or value. Kanina pinakita ko yung mga instruments. Noon, sobrang importante sa atin. Kailangan meron kami ganitong instrument. Kailangan ganito yung boses ng singers. Ngayon, hindi. Given yung scenario na meron tayo ngayon, nagbago yung value natin ng mga bagay. Kailangan magbago ng value natin sa mga bagay. So, ano ngayon kung wala akong tongatong? Ano ngayon kung wala akong kulintang or angklong? Hindi naman din tayo makakabili eh. Pero may mga instruments or sound-producing objects na available na pwedeng mag-take ng place ng mga bagay. Third T or tools. Ano yung purpose ng tools? Whether it's assessment or instruments or activities, ano yung purpose? Ano yung purpose ng tool na yun? Kailangan ma-remodel yung mga bagay. Last two, C, creativity. Or yung perception, to be specific, our perception of creativity. Kasi ang test natin ng creativity, pag nakakapag-compose ka, nakakapag-arrange ka, nakakasulat ka ng poetry, nakakagawa ka ng lyrics. Pero creativity rin yung gumawa ng two measures. Creativity yung makapag-supply ng notes na iba doon sa gagawin ng ibang students. Creativity yung makagawa ng isang sentence. Magbabago lahat yun. Perception lang siya. And lastly, kailangan natin ng activities na hands-on. So yung mga tasks should be hands-on. Sila mismo yung kailangan gumawa. Hindi siya mere repetition or mirroring of what the teachers can do. Okay lang na hindi pa nila magawa first time. Pero eventually, habang tumatagal, nagagawa. Importante doon, sila yung gumagawa. Sila yung nag-act in front of the activity. So yun, pitch, philosophy, importance, tools, creativity, and hands-on na mga tasks. Yun yung mga kailangan alahan. May footnote ako sa ilalim. The more personalized the tasks are, the better. May cling share lang. Sa mga students ko, mukha siyang walang kinalaman sa music. Pero for every student, meron akong ibibigay na books, minsan short readings, for them to read based on their personality na alam ko. So meron akong ipoprovide sa kanila na gano'n. Bahala sila kung matatapos nila. Self-paced yun kung kailan nila babasahin. Dual purpose. Break from screen time. At the same time, may kinukuha kang vision doon. May kinukuha kang ideas and philosophies from the book and from those different readings. Kasi yung pagko-compose, halimbawa, creative yun. At mukhang hands-on. Pero kung magpapatulong lang din sila sa iba, uy, patulong naman mag-compose. Hirap eh. Hindi rin siya naging hands-on at hindi rin sila naging creative. Whereas, kung tutugtog sila ng sobrang simpleng rhythm, like this one, mas kaya. Creativity pa rin siya. Hindi naman nawala yung creativity. Itong apat na measures na to, pwede mong tugtugin dun sa mga sound-producing objects na meron ka. If you can apply them to those sound-producing objects, that's still creativity. So that ends my presentation. To cap it off, I would like to reiterate lang isang bagay. Sa ngayon, tayo as music educators, hindi na COVID lang yung kalaban natin. Yung pinakamalaking kalaban natin ngayon is disengagement for our students. If you have music students right now, tapos let's say 200 sila, or let's say konti lang, let's say 60 students. And then because of what's happening, what's going on right now, next year, may mga hindi na music students. Meron nang nag-shift. Wala pa lang music. Yun yung pinakamalaking kalaban natin. At yun yung pinakamalaking problema natin. So, one of our most important tasks right now is to keep them engaged sa music. Na by next year, when all of this is over, musicians pa rin sila at interested pa rin sila sa music. Yun yung pinakamalaking challenge natin as musicians. So, I'll be waiting for questions kung meron or clarifications. That ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have some questions here from our viewers. The first one is from Mr. Joser Pagia. Paano po kaya, sir, hindi ba mahirap ngayon yung music dahil mas maganda kasi kapag matuturuan mo sila ng personal to acquire those skills?
Hindi mo rin naman siya, ganun din yung stand ng ibang subjects. Doon din sila nanggagaling. Hindi mo naman siya pwedeng patigilin. And sabi ko nga kanina, music is everywhere. Yan kasi is coming from the mindset na ang music ay itong mga subjects na to, itong mga topics na to. Pero kung tinignan nyo kanina sa presentation yung analysis ng napakasimpleng kanta, Zebiana, ayun pala yung bumubuo doon. Kaya pala siya may tama sa pwede nilang gawin individually. So ang focus ngayon is more on the individuals and their individual musical skills. Musical skills, not really products, not really to organize 8 people to sing together or a group of 30 to sing together. Hindi ganun. Magbabago yung roles. Pero hindi pwedeng mawala yung music. Hindi mamamatay yung music. Nandyan lang siya.
Thank you, sir. Next question po is from Miss Mary Angel Villanueva. Good afternoon po. Is it applicable po ba maggamit ng piano apps sa Play Store or downloaded apps po sa laptop for teaching the piano music like yung majors and minors for grade 4 to 6?
Konting clarification lang. Anong modality ang pinag-uusapan natin? Kasi I think this would be challenging if modular. Pero kung halimbawa online blended, assuming na online blended siya, pwede lahat ng tools na pwede mong gamitin is welcome. Pero sa modular, paano mo siya i-convert? So my suggestion kung kailangan siyang i-convert is convert siya sa pinakamaliit na file. Smallest file na pwedeng magamit. Pwede mong i-send through Messenger, pwede mong ipasa via Bluetooth, pwedeng i-flash drive. Kasi yung transmission ang problema natin, diba? Yung pagpapasa. Kung mahina ang connection nila ng internet, hindi siya mag-work. So kung modular, yun yung challenge. Pero if it's online blended learning, I'm assuming yun na lang natin.
Thank you so much, sir. For our last question is from Miss Maricar Arevalo. How can we encourage po students who are not gifted with a singing voice to do an oral presentation in music class, especially po ang mga shy type po natin na learners?
Isang mistake natin as music educators is pinipilit natin sa kanila yung something na tayo yung interested. So halimbawa yung assessment natin or yung performance task natin, sa atin galing. Pero there are songs na sila yung mas may gusto, yung mga bata yung mas may gusto, mas nakaka-relate sila. So you can start with that. Second is, kung ang problem is intonation, medyo hindi nakakanta in tune yung students or shy, pwede namang tanggalin yung tono. Babalik ako dun sa skill, literacy and assimilation. If ang goal mo lang is makita na kaya niyang gawin yung isang bagay, pwede mong i-reduce to rhythm. So rhythm lang, pwedeng rhythm chanting, words, yung i-chant, walang tono, wala pa ako sa tono. Okay lang. Gusto ko lang marinig yung rhythm. Leron, sinta, buko, parang rap. Okay lang.
Okay po, sir. Thank you so much. That's all the questions that we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for this afternoon po, sir?
Ang music ay medyo na-relegate na for how many years sa sidelines. Parang nag-develop na yung ibang fields, nag-develop na yung ibang subjects. Tayo yung medyo na napagilid. Kinumbine nga tayo somewhere else. Yan. Pero nitong nangyari yung pandemic, nakita natin yung value ng arts, ng music in general. At importante siya for our sanity kasi expression yun eh. So more than being a subject, more than being a learning area, it's a field of art na pwede kang mag-express. So marami siyang value, marami siyang importance. And gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, kalaban natin ngayon disengagement. So yun yung kailangan nating iwasan. Kailangan ma-feed natin yung hunger, yung fire ng bata, ng learners natin for the music, yung passion nila for music. Yun yung role natin as teachers.
There we have it. On behalf of Ibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank you, sir, for today for this insightful and comprehensive learning session. It is really an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kabibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning sessions. We encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vibal Facebook page and YouTube channel. Muli maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat. Goodbye everyone and stay safe.